and welcome to the Office of the Leader of the Opposition press conference for June 22nd, 2022. Permit me to introduce the panel for today. From my right, there is none other than Ms. Dawn Hastings Williams, Member of Parliament. To her right, Ms. Geeta Chandan Edmond, Member of Parliament, and to her right, none other than Ms. Coretta MacDonald, Member of Parliament. Welcome. Today's press statement will be read by Ms. Dawn Hastings Williams, Member of Parliament.
Good morning, Shanika. Good morning, Guyana, and good morning to your viewers and my colleague parliamentarians. Minister Dharamlal must resign or be removed from office. The allegations of rape against the Minister of Local Government have moved to the level of the police. The victim has issued an official statement, and it is being used as a basis for a police investigation. At this point, the minister is officially a suspect and the victim is a complainant. Based on the foregoing, good governance and justice demand the following actions. 1, since multiple reports on the matter are readily available to the president, he must act immediately with the urgency this matter demands. The minister must be removed from public office immediately. Minister Dharamlal is not a public servant. He was not appointed in accordance with the Public Service Commission. He is a political appointee and not a public servant. Consequently, the rules of the public service are not applicable to Minister Dharamlal, and therefore he cannot be sent on administrative leave pending the investigation and possible charges into the serious and odious allegations of rape and sodomy. By virtue of these allegations, the minister is not fit for public office in any capacity and must immediately resign or be removed from government and parliament. Most notably, the purported settlement agreement in the form of a quasi-non-disclosure agreement, NDA, should be the subject of an investigation. Specifically, all involved should be investigated for the possible obstruction of justice. Importantly, the Office of Professional Responsibility should immediately commence an investigation into the actions of the regional commander, Mr. Kemraj Shivvaran. It has been brought to the attention of the opposition that there are several procedural breaches in this investigation. Firstly, we wish to highlight that the acting head of Child Care Protection Agency, Mrs. Tiona October, a consummate professional with over 10 years of experience working under the stewardship of Anne Green, the former head of the Child Care Agency, has been sidelined. Levian Govaya, with under 2 years of experience, has been identified to handle this sensitive matter. This is unacceptable. We have several disturbing reports thus far, which suggest that the victim is denied her constitutional right to legal representation. Additionally, we have received reports that on a visit to the alleged crime scene, the accused was present. This flies in the face of the rule of law and the protection of the victim. It is unacceptable and must be condemned. All of these issues must be dealt with immediately to ensure justice and the adherence to the rule of law. The opposition demands that the investigation be fair and impartial in every sense and be free from any political influence, interference, directive, and be undertaken in keeping with the law. The opposition will continue to advocate strongly for the rights of women and children. We will continue to be an unrelenting advocate for the protection of our Indigenous sisters. We owe it to our Indigenous sisters to promote and protect their rights. This case will be the litmus test as to whether the elites in our society are above the law. We must all remain steadfast in our commitment to ensure that no one is above the law and justice be the victor in this process of dealing with the alleged heinous crime that was committed by a sitting minister and member of parliament. We trust that justice will prevail. Thank you.
Thank you. At this time, I will open the floor for questions on the press statement. And I should note today as well, the questions will only be on the press statement. Thank you. I see the hand of Mr. Adam Harris. Mr. Harris?
Sorry, I was muted. Yeah,
Oh.
I'm saying good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
I just heard the press statement. Now, a couple of things, and I'm not to make a statement. I'm just going to ask questions. There is supposed to be a Rights of the Child Commission. Has there been any involvement of that commission, given some of the strange things that are happening at this time? That's only one question. Perhaps I should go one at a time.
All right, thank you, Mr. Harris. As of right now, we are in the process of engaging the rights of the commission and other commissions, bodies, and international UN agencies that deals with rights that touches and concern those of children. So we are in the process of engaging those bodies.
Next question I wanted to ask is, we talked about the constitutional right of an individual to legal representation. Yesterday, I learned that the child was denied legal representation, that the state was undertaking that. What is the law governing the denial of the right of a person to legal representation? Is that even legal?
Thank you for the question again, Adam. What I will say to you that we're all entitled to certain rights that are enshrined in the Constitution. When these rights are breached, it must be frowned upon. The victim, albeit in protective care, she is entitled to her rights. And we have received the reports that she was denied her constitutional right to legal representation. And we are in the process of looking at that. We are going to explore this further.
Does this allow you, sorry if I'm going on too long, I'm done just now. Does this allow you to move to the courts?
Certainly. We are looking at that possibility also. There is a lawyer on, well, not a record, but there's a lawyer who is looking at her interest, Mr. Dexter Todd. So we will also be speaking with him also on this matter. And whatever support is needed from our end, we will provide that.
One last one. When the child was taken to the home of Minister Dharmlal and asked to identify the bedroom, the report coming out is that the bedroom she went to was devoid of furniture and repainted. Would that have an impact on the trial to suggest that she might have been lying?
If I may at this time, thank you for the question, Commander Harris. I know the individual will go to his utmost to get rid of any evidence that will present itself to validate the allegations that are being put against him. However, I want to say that whatever or whomever tries to obstruct or distort during the process of investigation, doing this deliberately, either by painting over, removing furniture, there is a God, and he will serve justice. We need to do our part. He has his right to get access to lawyers too. That is why the child should be given access to have legal aid. So whoever lawyer he or she chooses to represent her, she should be given that opportunity.
As a follow-up to that, is saying to us that the young lady, when we look at that detailed statement that came from that young lady, she's not, if I can say, she's not stupid. She knew exactly what she was talking about. And so she must have been able to identify the room. And I'm hoping that they took her to several rooms and she was able to, I'm sure she would have been able to say to them, the room had a bed, the bed was like this. She was able to describe that bed. So even while they are trying to remove and repaint, the young lady would know exactly what she's talking about and where exactly she went. Because the fact that they went to whichever that particular home, it is because the young lady said to them, this was the home that he took me to. So right there, we are seeing that there are persons who are participating in obstructing the course of due process. And that we will not allow to lie and go slide under the carpet.
Thank you. I see the hand of Mr. Mark Benschop.
Thank you. Good morning. I have three areas of concerns. One has to do with the mood of the indigenous community at this point in time, because reading comments and listening to commentaries and so forth, it seems as though they are very, very disappointed with how those in the PPP regime have handled this situation. I ask the other question is to Ms. McDonald, being the General Secretary of the Guided Teachers Union. How much blame should be apportioned to the Ministry of Education in their handling or mishandling of this situation, the allegations of rape, when they first heard of it? Thank you.
Thank you for that, Mr. Benschop. Well, I must say, I must categorically state that the indigenous peoples of this land are not only disappointed, they are hurting, they are angered, they are seeking the spirit of their ancestors to take this matter in control, because to them, this is not the first time. This is not the second time, not even the third time. This continues to be conducted on their female, young female, and even matured females. These allegations has been ongoing, and they realize that the government or the administration really has no care for them. Because if they cannot show love, care, and protection for the women folk who are very, very important in the indigenous population, well then, what else more can they do to the indigenous population as a whole? So they are angered, they're frustrated, they may be quiet, because we've known the indigenous people to be quiet, but silence speaks a lot to us as indigenous persons. So That is that I can say to your question.
Ms. Peter.
Right, thank you, Mr. Benschop, for your question. I must say that it is most unfortunate that the Minister of Home Affairs is extremely silent on this matter, but I'll encourage him to join with his fellow PPP colleagues who have spoken out on this matter, essentially to say that no one is above the law. And I'm hoping that from his part, from his ministry, there will be no sort of political interference, directive, or influence. At the end of it, all this matter transcends politics. It is a national issue. We here in the opposition, oftentimes we are accused of just simply opposing, but right now we stand here on the side of justice, and we will continue to advocate for the rights of this child and other children. We are in report, we have received reports that there are going to be several other reports that will be laid against, not only against the subject minister, but against other officials within the party. We will continue to monitor the situation. We will provide whatever support is needed, and we will continue to advocate. And like I've said, this matter transcends politics. It's a national issue. And right now we stand on the side of justice, justice for this child, justice for other victims, and we will continue to do that. What was done at the crime scene, according to the report that we have received, is highly irregular, and it tells a lot. It tells a lot. And it leads one to draw the conclusion. Why would you want to rearrange a crime scene? Why would you want to change the paint? So it tells a lot.
In addition to that, and just to support my colleagues, the whole fact that reports have surfaced that the room would have been rearranged. It means that what we've been saying all along, that we don't have faith in the Guyana police force, because somebody had to give the information to the subject minister, or maybe some of his one of his friends, to say to them, look, the police is coming at X time to search here or to bring the young lady to identify, and so you must do A or B or C. And that's why we're asking that we have persons who are not close to this administration, not the Guyana police force alone, to conduct an impartial investigation into this matter. Because we've seen many like these just slide under the carpet. But with regards to the question you asked, Mr. Benschop, about the GTU's standpoint on the ministry's handling of this matter, let me say and I have no apologies for saying this, the Ministry of Education handled this very, very badly. As a matter of fact, this is a slap in the face of the Ministry of Education, since the subject minister, Priya Manik-Chand, was the person who piloted this bill. And for her to have acted in the manner that she did when she received that report, to be passing it down here and passing it down here and instructing persons to make contact with the school and then the young lady and all of that, it was very badly handled. And we are, well, I don't want to say that we're disappointed, but this is the manner with which the folks in the PPP operate. And I can say to you and others that we had issues in the parliament with Honorable Tabitha Sarbo and the Kwame McCoy. And every single member within the PPP, they sat very quiet there. We had the issue again of Dharamlal talking about the dildo. They all sat silent there. And so it seems as if it's a culture in the PPP where the women in the party cannot speak out because of whatever reasons I don't know. They cannot speak out. And they are silent on issues when it comes to the disrespect of women and girls. I can say further that the Ministry of Education, there is a standard operational procedure with which how to deal with issues like these. Issues like these are dealt with by referring the case to Child Care Protection, Welfare Services Department within the Ministry of Education, and you call the police in. And so I don't understand why the CEO was asked to make contact with and to receive numbers, but it was very badly handled. And I would want to say that they are all part and parcel of trying to obstruct justice.
Thank you. I see the hand of Ms. Sharda Bacchus, newsroom.
Good day, all. My question is directed to Mr. Norton. I'm trying to confirm whether a Central Executive Committee meeting was held last night for
Miss, one moment. Mr. Aubrey Norton is
I
not
noticed
on.
he's in the meeting
One moment.
virtually.
He is not a part of this press conference today. And as I stated, when we started taking questions that will be asked today are only on the press statement.
So
and this is the Office of the Opposition press conference being held today.
So you
All
were
right.
saying that you wouldn't be able to address my question, you or any other member?
Right, that's correct.
Okay.
Thank you. I see the hand of Mr. Benschop.
Thank you so much. I will keep it I'll restrict my questions to just the subject matter today.
Correct.
I go right back to the Honorable Geeta Chandan, who happens to be a former magistrate and is a lawyer. What is your position now in terms of confidence level? Because when you check out on social media, a lot of people seem not to have confidence in the DPP chambers at this time, as it pertains to the matter, the file that has been sent. According to the police, the file was sent to the DPP. Is your confidence level
granted at the ranges between 100 to 200, possibly 300,000. The fact that this accused was placed on 1 million bail is substantial, and that tells you a lot.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Yes, sorry, I didn't raise my hand.
Go
There
ahead.
are some other issues at play here. There is another individual making an allegation, a similar allegation. Is this panel aware of that individual, aware of the allegation, and aware of the official involved in another rape of another Indigenous woman?
Sorry, Mr. Harris, could you repeat your question?
There is another individual coming forward to make an allegation of rape against a senior government official. Is this panel aware of that allegation? And if you are, this is an addition. How will you be able to pursue all these serious allegations, given what appears to me to be attempts to stall immediate prosecution?
All right, I will answer the first part, and my colleague, Ms. McDonald, will take the second part. What I'll say to you, Mr. Harris, is that we are a very active opposition. We are in touch with our base. We're continuously receiving reports. I did say early on that we are in receipt of reports, unconfirmed reports as it relates to several other reports that will be made officially to the police, as it relates to the subject minister, and also as it relates to other government officials. We will continue to follow, we will continue to monitor these reports, and we will provide whatever assistance we can. Because as it is right now, we are standing on the side of justice. We're all sitting here as mothers, and we are demanding justice.
Thank you.
Yes, I had a follow-up question, but I ceded to my elder, Adam Harris. And I'd like to go right back to Ms. Geeta Chandan. being the former magistrate she is, and she's also the shadow minister of Home Affairs, with allegations that a senior police officer of the Guyana Police Force has been, fingered, alleged to have been part of a plot to cover this matter up. I'm not sure whether you have written already to the relevant minister, Robeson Ben, and also the acting commissioner of police to ensure that an immediate, a swift, and a transparent, and possibly an independent investigation launch into the alleged interference by that commander. The other question has to do with the silence of some in society, mainly the Guyana Bar Association that is usually in a rush to pronounce on everything. Are you surprised that the Guyana Bar Association is so silent on the matter?
They have lent their voice to this matter. They've called for a swift and thorough and impartial investigation. There are other civil society organizations who have come on board. Is Red Shred. I believe they're involved in a protest action in front of the Caribbean Court of Justice, not the Caribbean Court of Justice, the Convention Center, where there is a sitting of the Caribbean Court of Justice. I believe the Private Sector Commission, they have also issued a statement calling for a thorough and impartial investigation, and essentially sounding what we've all been saying, that no one is above the law. There are also the other political parties who have lent their voice on this matter. And the momentum is building on this matter. We expect that more civil society, more organizations are going to come on board, and they're going to support the call for justice and for an impartial investigation. As it relates to the allegation against the officer, we are already on record calling for OPR to do whatever is necessary to investigate the actions, the highly irregular actions of this officer.
Thank you. All right, as we come
to Ms. McDonald, you said Ms. McDonald, sorry, Ms. Chandon said Ms. McDonald would have addressed the other part of my question.
Could you repeat it for the benefit of her, please?
Yeah.
Sorry, it had to do with another allegation of rape. This allegation is by an indigenous child, and it's against another government official. And I was asking, how are you going to handle all of these things given what is happening now?
Well, the thing is, we have to take these in stages, and we are urging our indigenous sisters, mothers, to come forward with whatever allegations they have there, or whatever complaints they have to make. Let me put it that way. We're urging them to come forward. As a matter of fact, we have a battery of lawyers who are ready and willing to give the kind of assistance to them. Like everything else, we don't want to behave as if we are all saints, but we have persons like these everywhere. And the fact that older men are preying on young girls, that's a disaster. And if we don't grapple with that now and cut it off, then it's going to lead on and on and on. I remember vividly the case of a former GTU president, when there was sensation all around by the Guyana Police Force and other members of the media. And it is disgusting that because Darren Lal is a sitting minister of government, there is this hush and this hush and this hush, and people don't know what is happening. But like we've said before, we are calling for a thorough investigation, and we are hoping that everyone who seemed to be a part of, whether it's before, during, or after, that they're all going to be pulled over the coals and given the full treatment of the law.
Thank you. At this time, if there is any final question,
Yes, there is one
I'll
more.
take that.
Just one more.
Go ahead.
The police said that there was no request by the child's parents for an attorney. I read a report in today's Stabrook News that said that the mother actually requested the presence of an attorney. How do we resolve this apparent contradiction? And one other one, just one other one. We have a case of the people being interviewed in the absence of their parents. I think the law says that a child should be interviewed in the presence of a parent or a guardian. It says nothing about community development officer or child protection officer or anything.
Correct.
This law appears to have been breached. Is the panel making note of these aberrations?
Thank you again, Mr. Harris. Yes, we are taking note. We have received reports that the child, the victim, in addition to her parents, they have requested the services of attorneys of law to be present during the process of the investigation, particularly as it relates to the signing of any statement, visiting crime scene, etc. We have received reports that those requests were denied. We are actively looking at that as it relates to the child victim being interviewed in the absence of our parent. This also flies in the face of the law and good practice when we are looking at it.
Thank you. All right. At this time, I just want to remind.
I have a final question, if I may, please, Chair, or is that it? If that's it, I can respect that.
Final question. Final.
Thank you. The reason for my final question, because I've noticed that usually vociferous press conference seem to be lack of the voices and the questions that seem to be geared towards Aubrey Norton, and maybe because the leader of the opposition is not at the press. I have a final question, if I may.
He accepted to do this act when there was no official report, according to His Excellency. There was no official report. So why is he taking this statement from the young lady? And that and so many more, the repainting of the room, why? How did you know the timing that the police were going to visit there? How did you know the timing and the day? And so these are all factors coupled with the actions of the Ministry of Education that would leave one to wonder whether we are going to see this young lady receiving the kind of justice that she ought to receive. And I want to say to our folks out there, to the citizens of this country, when we have issues like these, they are of national interest. Today, for that little Amerindian girl, tomorrow, for somebody else, the next day, maybe for one of my nieces or so, but I can tell you, I mean, I don't understand. I might get some flagging for this, but I have to say it. Every cow feels for his or her own calf, his or her own calf. And I say no more, but just to urge our people to come out and lend their voices. This nonsense has got to stop. Regardless of who the perpetrator is, it must stop at one point. It's unfair that we're doing this to especially our indigenous people who we hear this government championing the call about every time. We care about you, we love you, and that's why we're allotting so much money in the budget for you. And now this issue, just on the heels of us losing 20 innocent lives, we've got this one coming here. And it seems as if the 20 innocent lives are going to be wiped off because this one is taking front page. But I want to say to our people, we are going to have to continue to keep the beat up on all of these issues. Because again, Darren Lal was the person responsible for those children losing their lives because it was under his ministry that those grills were placed on those windows. And so we cannot allow these issues to pass. I remember vividly the case where the young lady in the US, her mother brought the issues out with the allegations. And what we heard coming from the government, the minister lost his phone. And so it seems as if there's a deliberate effort, an attempt to cover and to shelter, especially Darren Lal, and one wonders why, whether Darren Lal knows a lot of secrets about other people, and that is why they're sheltering him. But we call on every civil society member, every sober-minded citizen to come out and lend their voices.
In addition to what my colleague has said, being a former member of the bench, I am optimistic. I have faith in the justice system at the level of the bench that justice will prevail, albeit that there has been obvious hiccups in the investigative process. Justice must not only be done, it must appear or be seen to be done. But what we're seeing right now is not the appearance of justice. And to those who are actively involved in this matter, I want to say to you that you will not only be judged by law, you will be judged by God, man, and the society. Do what is right so we all can live with our conscience. This child, this victim, demands justice.
Look, sorry. I mean, a little disgusting, but
One
quickly.
second. Hold on, Mr. Adam Harris. Ms. Dawn Hasty needs to
Sorry.
her answer.
Go on.
Thank you, Mr. Harris. And to conclude my statement on what was asked by Mr. Benschop, I would say that I do have a little faith in the justice system. And like my colleague, I'm optimistic that justice will prevail. However, I am not too comfortable in the way the matter is being handled, the level of the investigation that has begun by the police. And I am saying, and I'm calling on all Guyanese to stand up with us, to be in solidarity with us, to ensure that whoever distort and obstruct the due process of fair investigation must be seen as culpable and must also face the brunt of the law.
Thank you. All right.
Sorry, I know you want to go home, but
no, we don't want to go home. Do bear in mind that as we speak, there is a protest on the same matter that is occurring, and persons on this panel will be joining that.
Yes. All right. Quickly. Was this child medically examined? This thing allegedly happened on the 23rd of December. But the manner in which it happened and what was described could leave scars and all kinds of things. Did anyone arrange for a doctor to take a look at her? Because I am certain the defense is going to call for some medical record to justify that there was a rape.
Thank you for the question, Mr. Harris. Due process, and it's normal for any investigation into these sort of allegations that there would be a medical examination conducted. So I'm hopeful that that has been done. I mean, it's very basic that that sort of examination has to be done.
All right. Thank you. All right. At this time, I want to thank members of the media for joining today's press conference. And as we stated a few moments ago, that the protest action in this regard continues today in front of the office of the president as we speak. And we also hope that you will lend your support to this action. And again, thank you for joining today's press conference. Do have a great day.